So as we round out the year, today I wanted to take a look at a few things that I think Modern Warfare 3 desperately needs, from a few fixes to additional content types and more that sure, absolutely are not the be-all end-all, but are things that I think that I've noticed, and I'd love for you to get involved as well. Have a discussion here with you. Feel free to add what you would like to this list, to what you think the game needs going forward. As a sort of baseline, we're going to be talking about Modern Warfare 3 here in this one, multiplayer and zombies, not Warzone, though I may have a standalone video on that upcoming in the near future. In my initial note-taking phase crafting this video, I was like, well, this could make the video a little too long when adding Warzone stuff, but I think with a bit more expansion and deeper thought on it, I definitely could just turn it into its own video. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But if you enjoyed the video, find it at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to stay updated with all things Modern Warfare 3, Warzone, XDefiant, and other FPS content here on the channel. Especially if you're part of that 60% of viewers not subscribed, I'd love to have you. So that said, let's jump into it. So first and foremost, probably going to miss out on a dozen or so things here, but that happens. This is what I wanted to touch on though, starting with multiplayer. Firstly, on a more content side of things, obviously one of the big things within Modern Warfare 3's multiplayer is, well, we need more original maps. Now, this will happen in time, especially if Sledge can commit to making originals and no remakes like they've stated is their overall plan. They've already confirmed 12 plus new maps will be coming throughout the post-launch seasons here. That takes time, naturally. I understand why. I mean, we've already talked about the dev time on this game, so I don't want to really beat a dead horse with it, but I mean, the game was made in like 16 months. This was the plan that was initially intended for Modern Warfare 2 Year 2, and what has been rumored that Infinity Ward was supposed to have this, so it was really a just cobbled together Frankenstein-like project. So when you consider that kind of stuff, obviously they just had to put something out. So new maps weren't necessarily in the equation as much as building off of what was already in place of remastered maps coming within Modern Warfare 2 2009 into this game. But anyways, I just feel like new maps will keep players engaged rather than only having a small 24/7 subset of playlists with only 1 or 2 maps included. Also, I won't lie, I'd love for them in the future here to keep the variations of maps in the rotations. Like, keep Shipmas here after the holidays, keep Hangover in the rotation here after the holidays, keep the upcoming Vortex maps in the rotation as well. I think that even the variation offers enough of a, hey, I didn't play this map exactly as we have it for the last 10 plus years. I feel like that vibe kind of personally at least livens the experience up a little bit. It might not be brand new, but I mean, hey, I'd be happy playing Shipmas and Shipment, Hangover and High Rise, the upcoming Vortex maps and their standard counterparts just in that regular rotation. I'd be cool with that. Additional gameplay wise, I do think that perks could use some adjustments, some certainly using buffs, some not necessarily even having any purpose or any sort of competitiveness in their field of what those perks are on offer, but honestly, I'm not sure if those will get any sort of attention. Obviously, gameplay oriented again, but also kind of across the board between zombies and more importantly in Warzone. But again, my touch on its own separate video is audio. There definitely needs to be audio adjustments here, desperately needing that within Modern Warfare 3 across all the playable modes. So that's something that just know that while we don't really go in depth here with this, that's something that the game definitely needs. Talking still content changes and viable content changes, I think things that can actually happen. I definitely think we need a larger acquisition stash within zombies. I feel like every game that I play here, I have to balance something. And honestly, I'm kind of a hoarder when it comes to this stuff in regards to what I want to take and what I want to keep in zombies. For those that don't know, if you end up going in, you set your sort of gear for your player, your acquisition stash only has an available 10 things that you can hold after exfilling. You have things that if you ended up purchasing anything, there's a separate unlimited cap to that, it seems like. Those including bundles and battle pass progression. There are rewards if you end up completing something. You end up getting a separate stash there as well, but things that you actually extract, things that are important that you want to take into your next game, there's only 10 of those available. And if you're like me, you're just like relatively camo grinding or whatever, you find a cool acquisition or something that you want to keep for a further game down the line that you know you'll need it, but you don't need in the immediate future. A lot of the times you'll be juggling stuff that you have to burn good items sometimes, maybe stuff that you'd otherwise like to save just in order to keep it in your out of game inventory. For me, I personally think that you either need more slots overall or like 10 categories or folders of stuff, like one stash that opens up further that's only for perks, one stash slot that's only for ammo mods that opens up further and you can store more in there, one slot for upgrades and so on and so forth. Honestly, I think that that would be a huge benefit here to the players, and I think could greatly help the zombies experience. Another thing that I think the game desperately needs in the zombie side of things is an in-game scoreboard. Show me the amount of zombie kills that I have, show me the amount of merc kills, special kills, headshot kills, pack-a-punch kills, whatever the case, that I can actually look at it in-game instead of just having to guess or like kind of mentally note how many I did, keep counting as I go along, and hope that I don't miss anything here with this. Even better, give us the detailed stats that we have in-game like multiplayer has. That's one thing that I think could greatly help the zombies experience. If you're going for camos, you're going for challenges for your axe, whatever the case, it's just something that having all that information can absolutely be so much more benefit. I mean, it's in your deployments and acquisitions detailed stats in your combat record, and your match summary is there, so like, why can't we see that in real time? It's tracking behind the scenes for sure, so why can't we see it in game? And finally, on the zombie side of things that I think are desperately needed and are definitely plausible is a rejoin feature in zombies. Perhaps just as important as Warzone, if not more, because you have inventories that you lose permanently if you crash or disconnect for any reason beyond consciously hitting back out. It's one of those things that I think you definitely need and would definitely make the gameplay experience way better for zombies players. I mean, from an outside perspective, it's the same architecture and same implementation that we needed for Warzone, and we have it in Warzone, but not for zombies. I fully get that zombies was a sort of Frankenstein mode comprised of other architecture in DMZ, but now that the mode is up and running, you have that base here. The future and what we have going forward should be all about improving that gameplay, improving that experience, which this, I think, is a number one, number two thing on that list overall of what zombies desperately needs. With how many reports, how many Reddit posts I see of people crashing still in zombies and then losing all of their stuff, obviously you want to make sure you can end up mitigating that where possible. Now, before we jump into things that are like more so technical aspects, UI adjustments, fixes for multiplayer and other adjustments like that, let's talk about some stuff that would be awesome to see that I think Modern Warfare 3 and zombies desperately needs, but might be a bit lofty. I don't know if they'll actually end up happening. First, one thing that I still would love to see is a prestige shop. It would give you purpose, it would give you reason to continue ranking up after you hit a max level, or even just getting things after you get past that certain prestige on a season. Right now, you're still hard capped at level 250. You were hard capped at what, like 55 within the preseason? So it would give you some sort of reason to keep gaining XP, to keep playing and earning, just like we see with those sort of events we have going on, where you have those XP events for camos, but instead, maybe just allow it for static and always persisting rewards to be earned after hitting certain amounts of XP in those prestige ranks. Give more value to playing once you hit that cap. At least that's how I personally see it, that I think would definitely benefit the player and keep them coming back. Again, I've said it time and time again, maybe you guys are like me, maybe you're not, but I think that if I have something to genuinely work towards, something that is actually worth my time in playing, for me it's always a universal camo because I can put that on any gun that I ever want. I can see it all the time in a first-person game. It's not like a uniform where I only see it when I die and I ragdoll or something like that, or I see only the gloves. That's something that would keep me coming back absolutely more so than just even, hey, here's some extra 200 ranks. But if I have the ability to grind that out and then see more stuff on top of that, I'm absolutely going to do that. Another thing that I'd love to see is still, to this day, a Grand/Ultra Mastery camo, whether that be a Mastery camo for completing both multiplayer, Interstellar, and Orion camos for Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3, the Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3 Zombies camos of Bioluminescent or Borealis, or maybe a combination of getting all four of them. That'd be awesome, but I've actually talked with developers here. That is absolutely a hurdle that is just, it's tough to do because of how many tracking issues we've seen already persisting with just the regular sort of camos out there and available. It's again sort of like that detective corkboard where you have, say, point A to point B that you have to connect by a red string. When you do that, you have hundreds of permutations just for multiplayer, just for zombies, whatever the case, you'll see those sometimes cross, and then if you were to follow that thread, maybe it doesn't end up exactly where you wanted. You thought you took the right deviation of that thread or followed the thread perfectly, but you didn't. That's the way the game interprets that as well. But when you add in 1 to 3 other different segments of that camo tracking, well, again, hundreds of permutations just for one segment of the game. Add in 1, 2, or 3 more segments of the game on top of that, and you can see how confusing following that red string would be. That's how the game would have to do it. So as much as I'd love to see something reward players for doing all those Grand and Ultra Mastery camo stuff, we'll see if that happens. I'd love to, but that might be just a far-fetched wish. Obviously, I think that there's desperate need to fix the shadow ban system that we have right now. Mass reporting is absolutely something that is still a problem and still has not had any sort of addressing to it. I've said before, I think that a sort of CSGO Overwatch style system would work, where you hit a certain level in ranked, you have the ability to review reports made from the community and escalate them to either the enforcement team or decline them and bring them back down. Because not because I don't trust people, but I don't trust people. Some people just do not understand how the game works and therefore just immediately jump to they have to be cheating. Whereas the player just could have had a UAV active, they could have had a portable radar active, they could have seen or had somebody call out their cross and then know where a player is. There are so many things that lead to false reporting, and also, of course, if somebody just mad and will spam report a player, that stuff shouldn't happen. I think there's better ways to handle and weight certain reports within game that right now just have not been implemented, and it's something that's just allowed for false reporting and shadow bans to run rampant, while the enforcement teams then have to double check, triple check to see if somebody is legit, or again, if they were just the unfortunate recipient of a squad of people falsely reporting them multiple times. We're going to see mentions of it, but I'd love to see obviously tuning to matchmaking as well. Personally, I don't care too much, man. This is such a tiresome argument. I've said my piece on it so much before. I get where people are like, you shouldn't just beat up on people that are lesser skilled than you, but also at the same time, if a professional athlete wants to go and just play a casual pickup game not trying, they shouldn't have to be playing NFL, NHL, NBA caliber of players on a weekend pickup game with their kid or their friend that's just an enthusiast of the game. So there is a time and place for skill-based matchmaking and stricter matchmaking, but Call of Duty public lobbies, I think, could absolutely see some loosening of that strictness. Now, as for other things, fixes and adjustments across the board the game desperately needs, weekly challenge tracking is something that absolutely needs to be something that gets under control. Right now, as it stands, I'm pretty sure that the week 3 Jackbeholder rifle kit for the tier still does not properly reward players for those that complete the 5 challenges for week 3, which not only one doesn't give you that conversion kit, but also counts against you for the Coherence weekly challenge overall completion reward. Stuff like that and overall tracking absolutely needs to be a thing that's fixed out. Same with camo tracking overall. I see it less in multiplayer now at this point, but also still see it a lot within zombies. I think bioluminescent in the Modern Warfare 2 weapon grind, I've seen a lot of people have issues with that, so those absolutely need to be taken care of. Big things that the game desperately needs. Personally, beyond that, things that I'd like to see, I think that it'd be awesome to see a favorite camo feature, just like the attachments, having some things that are at the top of your selection next to the all camos, the special camos, just your favorites category that you can save maybe 10 there that you can quickly select from instead of having to scroll through a ton of different subcategories or total camos overall. Some UI adjustments, I think that we need to see some vertical grouping for things like charms. If you guys jump in and try and select a charm on your weapon, well, there are hundreds of charms available for selection, and you have to individually look at every single one of them horizontally. It takes forever to scroll from start to finish, and if you don't have any idea where that is previously located, you could be looking for a while. At least on a horizontal level, you could end up seeing a handful more at a time that you don't have to scroll for nearly as long to try and find one. Another thing that annoys the ever-living hell out of me for no reason, honestly, it's a very minor thing, but still truly does, is not having the ability to sort of wrap my cursor around on some points of the menus. One of the big ones for me is the camo selection. If you go and select your camo, you can't go and hit left on the leftmost option and end up wrapping around to the right side of that menu. Whereas in things like the gunsmith, you can do that. So personally, I'd love to see that happen. And then finally, small but nitpicky thing, show me the criteria for unlocking calling cards and other things like that, emblems, calling cards, and smaller items. If it was a challenge-based item, let me know what the challenge was. If it was a bundle, let me know what bundle. If it was a progression or reward, let me know where it came from. That kind of stuff, I think, would just greatly help understanding the items that you have in your inventory, but maybe that's just me. Anyways, that's a few things that I think Modern Warfare 3 as a whole desperately needs across Modern Warfare 3 multiplayer and zombies, but feel free to let me know if you agree, disagree, you'd like to add something to the list. Whatever the case, drop your thoughts. But if you enjoyed the video, you found it at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on it, and if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single thing running all things Modern Warfare 3, Warzone, XDefiant, other FPS content here on the channel upcoming. I'd love to have you in the community. But for now, thanks so much for watching. Modest Best Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care, and peace.